how many people in the room have one of these? Or maybe I should rephrase this. Who in the room does not have one of these?
You're not going to raise your hand.
No one's going to raise their hand. It's okay, you can raise your hand. But this has really revolutionized over the last decade, not only how we connect, but in a lot of ways how we live. And the reason why mobile technology has become so huge is because it's made the world small. It's made information accessible, and it's made our lives and jobs more complicated, but also easier in certain ways. So what is 5 miles? As the example was shared, think of it as Craigslist meets Pinterest, or really Craigslist meets Nextdoor. So in a way where Craigslist over the last 20 plus years has really made community peer-to-peer marketplace transactions possible, what we're trying to do with 5 miles is make it so that it's truly neighbors buying and selling from other neighbors. We really focus on mobile technology. We focus on hyper-locality, so really at a just not a community level, but a neighborhood level, hence 5 miles. And then also full categories, so goods, services, housing, jobs, you name it, whatever you're buying and selling. We call it almost anything because there are limitations. But since launching in 2015, we've grown to almost 15 million users across the US. You can see some of our stats there. I won't go into it, but we have a lot of, not just individuals, but small and medium-sized businesses that use our platform as a virtual storefront for what they're selling, goods or services, so forth. All right, so this gives you just a little snapshot of where we have become a pretty powerful force. We're very strong in terms of car sales, furniture sales, so forth, that larger merchandise. And we also have a lot of small business people. So think of people who use Etsy or use eBay in the past, high transaction fees. And so what they get from our platform is little to no transaction fees, and also the ability to do things on the fly, to create and manage their inventory through our platform. And then of course local services. This is actually the example that I use because a few years ago, my shower head just broke off. It's a long story, but there was water gushing everywhere. I needed a plumber at that moment, and so it was kind of a panic. So of course I'm messaging my friends. I'm on Facebook, anybody have a plumber nearby. It turns out that there was a plumber down the street, but I didn't know that because I didn't have visibility to that person. And that's what our platform gives you. You can find, based on real time and geographic, the geolocation, you can find those service providers and know, just like Uber, the light is on, I'm available. And so that would help me out enormously. So that's something that service providers are finding our platform to be very beneficial from that context. All right, but here's really what is innovative, or most innovative about what we're doing. So how many of you have heard of blockchain technology? And how many of you really understand what that is? And that's okay too. Well, and it's one of those concepts that people heard about, but it's very esoteric. So let me try to break it down for you. So the way we're coming at this, we created a blockchain technology development lab a year or so ago. The reason why is because we're a centralized application, the same way that Amazon, eBay, Craigslist, so forth. We manage data, we manage operations from centralized services or centralized points. So what that means is that we're vulnerable to data breaches, to hacks, and so forth. And how many of you heard of the ever-growing number of hacks where millions or billions of consumers have their personal information or financial information exposed? Okay, so the way we looked at blockchain is blockchain takes centralized applications like ours and can decentralize them. So think of it as railroad tracks and rail cars. They're connected, but they're decentralized. So there are fewer points of singular vulnerability. So the way we looked at it is blockchain has enormous potential, but you also have to be able to tailor it to the specifics of particular industries. So the e-commerce industry is a $1 trillion plus industry. It's also global. And so Peer-to-peer marketplaces are just one of those, but if you look at the Amazons and the Alibabas and eBays of the world, all the way down to startups like ours, where we look at it is there is so much potential both from a business to business level in terms of operations and also in terms of consumer where you can benefit from that technology. The way we look at it, there's this concept called, we call it smart business contracts. So there are certain systems or like predictable processes that businesses like ours do. Problem is that they tend to be created and recreated by humans, and so they're prone to human error or inefficiencies and so forth. With smart business contracts, we have the potential to reduce the mistakes, reduce waste, fraud, and so forth that happen, ensure that there's more profitability and more efficiency, but then also third parties, middlemen. So we think of credit card processing. We think of in the real estate industry, title companies. So these third parties that come involved, they add layers. How many people pay their bills online? It usually takes a day or two for those transactions to be processed. With blockchain technology, with smart contracts, as soon as that action is done, it's done. It's over. And so it speeds up the process, but it also reduces the need for third parties and cuts down on costs. So basically what we've done with this is we have built out a blockchain that is specifically designed and optimized for e-commerce. We have our beta version that's already out, and we're planning to launch our what we call mainnet this fall. But that essentially could decentralize and democratize e-commerce as we know it. So it can level the playing field in a way that it's dominated by the e-commerce giants today, because if you're an Amazon, you're the only game in town. Small businesses, they need you, they need your platform. But with blockchain, it could essentially create a mom and pop sort of system through e-commerce where it gives them, they don't have to have the benefit, or they can benefit from scale, but they don't have to have the high operating costs just to get started. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to create one of the largest blockchains ever, and we're focused on e-commerce. Thank you.
Pass the clicker to the next person. So our next one is Bottle Rocket. It's raise the bar and mobile app. And